Hey everyone, gather around and listen closely. We're going on a journey, a story made of history and legend. We're diving into the world of the Vikings. These fierce warriors, explorers, and even kings made their mark on history. From the cold lands of Scandinavia to the sunny beaches of the Mediterranean, these men and women lived by their own rules of bravery, smarts, and a love for adventure. They sailed across oceans, their ships cutting through the waves like knives through butter. We'll relive their stories, the battles they won and lost, the empires they built and broke. We'll meet the legends themselves. Ragnar, Eric, Leif, Harold, Cnut, just to name a few. So, grab your drinks and get ready to go back in time to an age of iron, fire and epic tales. This is the story of the Vikings, and believe me, it's an amazing ride. Okay, let's talk about Ragnar Lothbrok. There's no Viking warrior more famous, more wrapped up in legend. He's the guy everyone thinks of when they hear Viking. Ragnar wasn't just a raider, he was a force of nature, a mix of chaos and charm. Some say he was related to Odin, the king of the gods. And when you look at Ragnar's life, you might believe it. He scared the coasts of England and France, a shadow in the night, making kings tremble. But here's the thing about Ragnar, his story is a mix of truth and made-up stories. Historians still argue about what's real and what's not. Did he really exist? Did he really do all those amazing things? That's what makes legends so cool. They make you wonder. They make you want to know more. And Ragnar's story has enough surprises to keep you guessing until the very end. Ragnar might be the most famous Viking, known for his legendary exploits and epic sagas. But when it comes to sheer toughness, to a will stronger than steel, you have to look at Eric the Red, a man whose name still echoes through history. This guy was a force to be reckoned with, a true embodiment of Viking spirit and resilience. He got his name, Eric the Red, not just for his fiery red beard, but for his equally fiery temper and fierce determination. Eric had a notorious habit of getting into trouble, often finding himself in the midst of conflicts and duels. He killed too many people back in Norway and got kicked out, banished from his homeland for his violent ways. But Eric didn't cry about it. He set his sights on a new goal, Greenland, a land shrouded in mystery and danger. Now, Greenland wasn't exactly a vacation spot. It was a land of ice and snow, a place where survival was a daily battle. More like a frozen wasteland with harsh conditions that would test even the toughest of souls. But Eric saw a chance, an opportunity to carve out a new life in this unforgiving land. He landed on those icy shores, built a town, and started a new life, turning the frozen landscape into a place of hope and new beginnings. He wasn't just a survivor, he was a leader, someone who could inspire others to follow him into the unknown. He got others to join him, to brave the cold and build a new home, creating a community where there was once only desolation. And that's what made him special. His ability to inspire, to lead, even when things were tough, even when the odds were against him. People think Eric discovered Greenland, but that's not entirely true. Not really. It was already there, covered in ice and snow, waiting for someone brave enough to conquer it. What Eric did was tame it, to take that harsh, unyielding land and make it his own. He took that tough land and made it his own, transforming it into a place where he and his people could thrive. He built a life, a community, in a place where most people wouldn't go, showing the true Viking spirit of resilience and determination. He wasn't perfect. He was a Viking after all, with all the flaws and fierceness that came with it. But he had this drive, this fire inside him that wouldn't go out, a relentless spirit that pushed him forward. He didn't just survive Greenland, he conquered it, leaving a legacy that would be remembered for generations. And his legacy, it wasn't just the town he built. It was his son, Leif Erikson, who would go on to explore even further, but that's a story for another time, a tale of exploration and discovery that continues the saga of Eric the Red. For now, remember Eric the Red, the tough guy who stared down Greenland and didn't flinch, a true Viking hero. He was a true Viking, a symbol of how tough humans can be when faced with the harshest of challenges. Chapter 4. Leif Erikson. Eric the Red was a tough Viking, but his son Leif made his own legend. Imagine growing up hearing stories about your dad discovering new lands and fighting rivals. That was Leif's life. Adventure was in his blood. He couldn't just let his dad have all the fun, right? Leif set his sights west, towards unknown lands. He'd heard of a place called Vinland. A name like that makes you think of adventure. Leif gathered his bravest warriors, got his ship ready, and sailed into the unknown. The North Atlantic was dangerous back then. Storms, cold winds, tricky currents. It was all part of the journey, but Leif was driven by something more. He had Eric the Red's blood, and that meant he wouldn't give up. He wanted to discover new places, to stand on land no Viking had ever seen. And he found it. Vinland, a land full of grapes and good soil, a Viking's dream. Leif Erikson, the son of a legend, became a legend himself. He sailed further west than any European before him, showing how great Vikings were at sailing. He built a town in Vinland, showing how tough they were. It didn't last forever, but that's not the point. The point is they dared to go where others wouldn't. Leif's story, like his father's, shows that Vikings were more than just raiders. They were explorers, pioneers, and even settlers. They pushed the limits of the world and left their mark on history. So raise a glass to Leif Erikson, the son who made his own legend. Chapter 5, Harold Bluetooth. You hear Bluetooth today and you think of your phone, right? That little symbol on your device that lets you connect wirelessly to speakers, headphones, and other gadgets. It's become such a common part of our daily lives that we hardly think about it. But have you ever wondered where the name Bluetooth actually comes from? But way before that, Bluetooth was a king. Yes, a real Viking king who lived over 1,000 years ago. His name was Harold Bluetooth, and he was one of the most influential figures in Viking history. A Viking king, Harold Bluetooth, or Harold Gormson, was a different kind of Viking ruler. Unlike the stereotypical image of Vikings as ruthless raiders, Harold was a visionary leader who sought to unify his people and strengthen his kingdom. His father, Gorm the Old, started uniting the Danes, but Harold finished the job. Gorm laid the foundation, but it was Harold who built upon it and brought the vision to life. He brought all of Denmark under his rule, which was really hard back then. Imagine trying to unite a land filled with independent tribes, each with its own leaders and customs. It was no small feat. Everyone wanted to be the boss, but Harold was clever. He knew that brute force alone wouldn't be enough to achieve his goals. He needed to be strategic and diplomatic. He knew that uniting his people meant more than just fighting. It meant creating a sense of shared identity and purpose among the diverse tribes. It meant bringing them together under one belief. Harold understood the power of religion in unifying people, and he saw an opportunity in Christianity. That's where Christianity comes in. By adopting the new faith, Harold was able to align his kingdom with the broader European Christian community. Now, I'm not saying Harold converted just for politics, but it was a smart move. It helped him consolidate his power and gain the support of influential Christian leaders. By becoming Christian, he brought Denmark closer to the rest of Europe. This opened up new opportunities for trade and alliances, which were crucial for the kingdom's prosperity. Opened up trade, made alliances, all that good stuff. Harold's diplomatic efforts paid off, and Denmark became a more integrated part of the European world. Don't get me wrong, Harold was still a Viking. He didn't abandon the warrior spirit that defined his people. He fought off invaders, raided coasts, and even messed with his neighbors. Harold was a formidable warrior who defended his kingdom fiercely. But he also made Denmark stronger and more united. Harold's reign wasn't perfect. He faced numerous challenges and setbacks. He had family problems, rebellions, and the usual Viking power struggles. The path to unification was fraught with difficulties. His own son, Sweyn Forkbeard, rebelled against him, forcing Harold into exile. It was a bitter betrayal that marked the end of his reign, a sad end for a king who did so much. Despite his achievements, Harold's final years were marked by turmoil and conflict. But even in defeat, Harold's legacy lived on. His efforts to unify Denmark had a lasting impact on the country's history. He changed Denmark from a bunch of fighting tribes into a united kingdom. His vision of a cohesive and strong Denmark set the stage for future generations. He embraced new ideas and a new faith, showing that Vikings weren't afraid of change. Harald's willingness to adapt and innovate was a key factor in his success. And his namesake Bluetooth technology is all about connecting people. Just like Harald connected the tribes of Denmark, Bluetooth technology connects our devices today. And isn't that what Harald did? He was a connector, a unifier, a leader who brought people together. So next time you use Bluetooth, think about Harald Bluetooth, the Viking king who knew how to unite people. His legacy lives on in the technology we use every day. He might not have had smartphones, but he understood the power of connection. Harald's ability to bring people together is a timeless lesson in leadership. He was a true Viking innovator. Harald Bluetooth's story is a testament to the enduring power of vision, unity, and adaptability. All right, everyone, listen up. Gather around, because today we're diving into the life of one of the most fascinating figures in Viking history. We've talked about some tough Viking raiders and explorers, but now let's talk about a ruler who was a true Viking through and through. This is the story of Cnut the Great, a man who built an empire across the North Sea, uniting lands and people under his rule. Cnut wasn't born a king. He started his life as a young Viking warrior, learning the ways of battle and leadership from an early age. He was the son of Sweyn Forkbeard, another tough Viking who ruled Denmark and had his eyes set on conquering England. When Sweyn died, Cnut, still young and ambitious, took the throne and continued his father's dream of expanding their territory. He wasn't afraid to fight. Cnut proved himself on the battlefield, showing courage and strategic brilliance. He battled English kings and other Vikings, proving he was a smart and formidable warrior. And he won, time and time again. Cnut conquered England, adding it to his lands and solidifying his power. But he wasn't content with just conquering. Cnut had bigger plans for his empire. He married Emma of Normandy, the widow of the English king he defeated, and through this union he brought a period of peace and stability to England. This feared Viking king became known for his wisdom and fairness, earning the respect of his subjects and allies alike. He ruled England, Denmark, Norway and parts of Sweden, creating a vast North Sea empire that was unprecedented in its scope. Cnut the Great, they called him. And great he was, not just in name, but in deeds. But even great kings die, and Cnut's story has its ups and downs, like any epic tale. Ruling such a big area wasn't easy. It required constant vigilance and strong leadership. He faced rebellions and threats of war from both within and outside his empire. But Cnut was a survivor. He quelled the rebellions and maintained his grip on power through sheer determination and skill. He stopped the rebellions and stayed in power, proving his mettle as a ruler. He was a good Christian, which helped him gain the support of the church and his Christian subjects. He even went to Rome, strengthening ties with the church, and brought peace and prosperity to his kingdom. Trade flourished, art thrived, and Cnut was respected not just as a warrior, but as a wise and just king. He wasn't just a warrior king. He was a builder, a lawmaker, a man who transformed his kingdom for the better. But even the strongest Viking can't live forever. Cnut's health began to decline as he aged. Cnut died in 1035, leaving behind an amazing legacy that would be remembered for generations. His empire broke apart after his death, but his impact on England and Scandinavia remained, influencing the course of history. He showed the world that Vikings were more than just raiders. They could be great rulers too, capable of building and governing vast empires. Cnut's story reminds us that history is written by the winners, and this Viking king wrote his name in history with bold strokes. He's a legend, a symbol of the Viking spirit, and a testament to what can be achieved with vision, strength, and determination. We've talked about Cnut the Great, a king who united lots of land. But the Viking Age was a time of constant change, of shifting alliances and ambitious warriors. And few embody that spirit like Harald Hardrada, a man whose life is like a Viking saga. Harald was born to be a warrior. His half-brother, Olaf Haraldsson, was king of Norway, but their reign was short. They were opposed by Cnut the Great, who wanted Norway for himself. Olaf died in battle, and Harold, only 15, barely escaped. Forced into exile, Harold went east seeking his fortune. He fought his way up in the Varangian Guard, the elite Viking warriors who protected the Byzantine emperor. He fought in wars, got rich and became known as a great warrior. But Harold never forgot Norway. He wanted to be king. And he returned, but not before making a name for himself in the Byzantine Empire. After years away, Harald Hardrada returned to Norway, a skilled warrior with lots of gold and an army. He challenged his nephew Magnus for the throne and eventually became king. But Harald wasn't content with just Norway. He looked towards England, a land he thought he should rule. In 1066, Harald Hardrada sailed to England with a huge fleet ready to take the throne. The Vikings landed in England, attacking the countryside and defeating the English armies. Victory seemed close. But fate had other plans. Another contender for the English throne had arrived, William the Conqueror. At the Battle of Stamford Bridge, Harald Hardrada died, fighting bravely in a last charge. He died a warrior's death, but his dreams of an empire died with him. From Ragnar Lothbrok to Cnut the Great and Harald Hardrada, we've journeyed through the Viking Age. These weren't just violent barbarians, they were explorers, traders, poets and kings. They sailed across oceans, raided faraway lands and changed the world. Their stories, told for generations, still excite us, reminding us of a wilder time. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey through Viking history. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more amazing stories from the past.